Podcast de la Esquena, Festival Edition.
Desde la gloriosa Nashville, una de las ciudades más influyentes en la música, llegan All Them Witches, cuarteto con tintes de hard rock, neopsicodelia, blues oscuro, stoner y una marcada influencia sureña. With no more delay, let me introduce you the lead singer Parks. You came to the festival early in the evening, but you played quite late tonight. Did you come back just to chill at the hotel, or have you taken the chance to see some bands?
We've been here since before it started. I think I sat in a hotel for 30 hours before this, so I'm glad to be out of the hotel.
Okay.
And very glad to be here. There's a lot of people that, as an American, who can pass up seeing Sheryl Crow. We're all really excited to see her. And it's going to be a long night, and it's going to be very chill, like it.
Uh-huh. And is there any particular band in the lineup that you would like to see, or that you're particularly fancy about?
Well, see, I've been listening to Band of Horses since I was young. Mavis Staples, that's incredible. Saw Glenn Hansard at Soundcheck. There's a lot of I didn't know the Psychedelic Porn Conference are going to be here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
We met them at a different festival. Such nice guys.
Really?
Very cool musicians. So, yeah, you have a really great lineup today.
Thank you for that.
No problem.
So, for someone that doesn't know you yet, how would you describe your music?
You caught a lot of it in the intro. Blues, psychedelic, stoner rock. We don't like to not try something because we don't think it's our sound. Mm-hmm. So we're open to any and all ideas that come out during practice and things. Mm-hmm. So and we all like all kinds of music, from bluegrass to gospel and metal and with everything in between. We're all fans.
Mm-hmm. And whatever suits your
Whatever
style,
fits.
your identity. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's cool. You formed All Them Witches in 2021, and you produced yourselves your debut album. And the second one you recorded in a cabin in the woods, where I think you live. How was that experience? So organic, right?
It's we actually started in 2012, and we've recorded in a cabin twice. Once was for Dying Surfer Meets His Maker, and once for ATW. We've actually produced most of the records ourselves. I personally feel like they all have that kind of homemade touch, but I think that from an outside perspective, people can tell where it was recorded. So I love the cabin. It wasn't mine. It wasn't my cabin. So I do live in a cabin in the woods, but
it wasn't the same cabin.
No, it's far too small. It'd be far too small to make a record at. So
after all that do-it-yourself experience, what's coming next? Where would you like to record your upcoming music?
Wow. Honestly, I think that I would like to do another kind of DIY session. The last one we did was at Abbey Road, and that was an incredible experience. But I think each record we kind of flip between do it yourself, do it with a producer, or do it yourself, and back and forth. So
there was a balance.
There is a balance. I think that there's a balance. And I also think that home recordings are really important in the music world, as far as vibe, venue, the essence that you put out. It's totally different than working in a studio. You're constantly problem solving, and I think that shows in music. So, home recordings have a near and dear, what do they call it? They call it demo love, right? The person always likes the demo more than the finished album. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Okay, and as the time goes by, this do-it-yourself philosophy, or this balance with do-it-yourself philosophy, until when? Would you maintain it in time, or would it be more difficult as the time goes by, and it's difficult to maintain this kind of philosophy?
I think
nowadays.
So. Yeah, I think it depends on how big you go. Right, there's a certain point where you can't handle everything all the time, and we have a team that does the stuff that we can't do anymore. But as far as it comes to the actual artwork, I think it's important to keep it in-house, as much as possible. because at the end of the day, nobody can really truly know like what's inside until you put it out there. I'm not opposed to working with other people. I just think that keeping it in-house is important for the long run. And I don't know, I don't know when that stops being beneficial, but I'd like to keep going as long as possible. Because Ben, our guitarist, is a really talented engineer, as well as run a studio, and we all kind of get a little bit better as the years go on. So maybe we can maintain it, maybe not.
Let me ask you about the cabin. I'm really curious about it.
Okay.
Because you live with no internet, no phone, no distractions at all. How do you manage to get in touch with your friends, family, with the band? How do you and all the band members manage this rather natural and organic, but maybe, I don't know if it's difficult to manage all
We have
this.
trained pigeons.
Really?
No.
So romantic.
Yeah, right.
But not really practical.
Not practical. I do have internet. It wasn't very good for a long time. I just upgraded it. I just want to throw that out there. But for a long time, there was, no internet, no phone. I've been there about 4 years. I get in touch with my family easily because they live pretty much down the street from me. The ones that I keep in contact with a lot live maybe a half a mile from my house. And as far as the band, we've always just kind of been like that. Before a tour, we'll take a couple days to practice, but in between, everybody is kind of left with their thoughts, and you bring new ideas to the table that way whenever we get together. Sound check on all of the shows is a good place for us to experiment with things, and we have been operating that way for a long time, so it doesn't feel foreign. But yeah, my life in the cabin is very polarized from coming to the city and playing, and I like the privacy and I like the quiet, and it definitely keeps your close friends, you can interact with them easily through email or phone calls or whatever. I used to have to go to town to make phone calls, but now I don't have to do that. So it's not as hard as one would seem, and I grew up in the woods, and I've always wanted to go back to living in the woods, so I'm happy with my place right now.
That's a really healthy way of life, indeed.
Yeah.
So my next question was, how can you discover new music? But if you have internet, I guess that you can discover some new music through internet, or
Right.
how do you?
Yeah, I do a lot of like record hunting whenever I'm out on tour, so I discover music that way, and really through friends. My friends are good about posting things that they're listening to or talking about other bands, and that kind of spirit has never died in my circle of like finding and supporting new bands. So I get a lot of exposure of new music through that way. My wife as well, just combining the musical taste there. It's and you can never listen to every band, so there's always going to be options out there, and I think that's part of the good thing about being in this job, is that there's always new music, good or bad, but there's always new music out there.
And are you going to go record hunting here in Vitoria-Gasteiz, or?
I did see there is a record booth here, and I really
Yeah,
wanted,
have you seen?
I wanted to go through it. I was on a mission then, but I might go, since we have so much time, I might go and see if I can score some.
Okay. What kind of music were you listening during the trip to get to the festival?
What music was I listening to?
Or maybe you weren't listening to music at all, and you were talking or not saying anything at all.
The person in the front seat has been playing a lot of music, so some bands have been kind of popping back up on my radar, like a Typo Negative song came on, and I hadn't thought about them in a long time, so might go back and listen to them. But on tour, I don't know. I don't really listen to a lot of music on tour. Sometimes a podcast or something, but I catch myself a lot like staring out of the window of the bus and just...
Or maybe sleeping.
Yeah, sleeping if you can. I can't think of anybody in particular that I've been listening to on this tour.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but before All Them Witches, you were playing jazz?
No.
Or
At the
is there any,
earliest,
any
yeah.
previous relationship with jazz before you turned to rock and roll?
Right, before I joined this band, Robbie and Ben, the drummer and guitarist, they were doing like a two-piece kind of jazz thing, and I think that's what this band was supposed to turn into, was more of a jazzy thing, but it kind of just turned into a rock band instead. So we keep some of the jazz, but
Okay.
I think that's probably what they're referring to, is that this was kind of a jazz band at first.
Okay, Parks. So thank you very much again for joining us today before your show. We're looking forward to see you guys and have fun.
I appreciate you having me here. Thanks for wanting to talk to me, and
Our pleasure.
yeah, good luck with the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Yeah.